I take privilege in introducing you to Mr. Tarun Singh ji, who is designated as Scientist D from Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India. Sir is an engineering graduate in electronics and communication and has done MBA in power management. He is a senior scientist in Ministry of New and Renewable Energy for the last 10 years and has experience in planning, policy framing, implementation and monitoring of different renewable energy programs. He is currently handling policy and regulatory affairs relevant to the renewable energy and also working on energy storage technologies and International Solar Alliance. Sir is also an active member in the committee set up for Amendment of Electricity Act 2003. With this, Tarunji, I welcome you.
Good morning, Raj sir. Hi, Shraddha, and all the participants. I congratulate you all for this particular course, because if you are dealing with electricity sector, then this kind of understanding is very important during your whole service in electricity sector. So today, what I shift topic little bit to the renewables, and want to tell you how renewable is also important part of electricity, and how the story of renewable energy. So I didn't keep any technical topic, but it's kind of a story of renewable energy in India, and how this has started and how this has moved on, and from where to now where we have reached. So coming to the directly to the renewable energy, why that is important? Why, what is the need of renewable energy? And because a few factors like key drivers, if you see, we need in energy security, energy access, and in the particular areas where the reaching the grid is little difficult, and also reducing the carbon footprints of energy system. So these are the areas which tell us that we need renewable energy. And also coming, if you see in the coming in the last few years, you can see the declining cost, better efficiency and reliability, and which we make us pursue the low carbon development. So all this we have seen in a decade that cost has reduced as much as at par with as the conventional power cost. So that's how renewable energy becoming more and more popular in the country. And with our honorable PM guidance, we are working upon the future targets also. Further, if we talks about the commitments, there are international commitments which we have done in Paris climate agreement, whereby we want to achieve 40% of installed capacity from non-conventional fuels by 2030, and also reducing the energy intensity emissions to the level of below the level of 2005 by 30 to 35%. Then coming to the potential, we have very good potential as far as compared to other countries. We are very versatile in having all kind of renewable energy, specifically wind, solar, and small hydro, and bioenergy. Because of the level of rural areas in our country, we have pretty much a bioenergy waste. So there is significant potential of decentralized distributed renewables for commercial, industrial, and other domestic needs. So this must be covered by Dr. Raj before, because this is his domain and I have covered what my learning is. So electricity is definitely a concurrent subject under entry 38 in list third of the 7th schedule of the Constitution. And then under entry 53 in list second, taxes on consumption on or sale of electricity is a state subject. And further coming to their responsibility divided between center and state, and their role is pretty much defined, and which you must have gone through in the earlier lectures from Dr. Raj Niranjan. The central government implement policy programs for renewable energy with the support of states. So, and matter related to interstate transactions are comes under the center domain. And the state is responsible for intra-state sale, purchase, distribution, and supply of electricity. As Dr. Raj earlier mentioned about the role of CRC and SERC, while the transaction of business with inter and intra, these are the responsibilities divided between center and state. However, responsibility for ensuring compliance and penalizing non-compliance lie with the state. So center does not have any domain in penalizing the compliance, because any activity which is done in the state has to be penalized by SCRCs only. So this is what I have designed myself from my understanding that how institutional structure envisaged under Electricity Act. We have generation, we have transmission, we have distribution, and then we have consumers. This is the structure from for a view of a consumer, that how they are connected. So if you comes to generation, we have state gencos, we have central PSUs who are generators, we have IPPs, independent power producers, we have captive power producers. In transmission, we have central transmission utility, state transmission utility, and there are some other licensees also. These are private licensees. Then we have distribution, where we have state discoms and other licenses also. Then we come to the consumer part, where we have domestic, industrial, agriculture, commercial, different kind of loads we are having in the. And this is how we connected with the total map of Indian electricity sector and who are the bodies. Then on the right side, you can see the what is the role of these bodies, particularly mentioning very specific ones. What central and state government does, they are the people who works on legislation and policy, which includes Act, National Electricity Plan, National Tariff Policies, state policies. So they work upon this. They decide all these policies. Then we come to the regulatory commission. The role of regulatory commissions is to regulate the tariff, then regulate every part of it, regulate generation, distribution, and transmission respectively. CRC do for the plants which are central, and the state do for the state plants. Then we have Central Electricity Authority, which is a technical advisory to Government of India. CRC, SCRCs, they also do the technical standard and regulations. They are the data repository of the country. So if you want to know anything about the electricity sector, you must visit CA website, and you will find every monthly, annually, and daily reports of power generation in India. Then we have NLDCs, National Load Dispatch Center, Regional Load Dispatch Centers. Then we have State Load Dispatch Centers. Their roles are well defined, and their main purpose is to grid operation and ensuring safety of grid and compliance of the regulations.
So Tarunji, this map is super actually. And one more, I wanted to compliment you, क्योंकि जनरली ये जो बनाते हैं हम लोग मैप पावर सेक्टर का, मैंने बहुत सारे मैप्स देखे हैं, लेकिन जनरली हम कंज्यूमर को कोई इंक्लूड नहीं करता है, और कंज्यूमर्स जो है वो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पोर्शन है उसका, और वो आपने बहुत अच्छा इंक्लूड करा. और सेकेंडली, जनरली हम सेंट्रल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी अथॉरिटी और लोड डिस्पैच सेंटर्स को कई बार इग्नोर कर देते हैं. एक्चुअली हम रेगुलेटर्स और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट पे फोकस करते हैं. सो ये जो आपने स्ट्रक्चर बनाया है, दिस इज अ होलसम स्ट्रक्चर एक्चुअली, वो पूरी बात बता देते हैं पूरी. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर शेयरिंग दिस. या
Thank you, sir. This why I have included the consumer is like I was trying to think from a consumer side. If I am a consumer, that how I am placed in this sector. So that's from that view, from the lens of consumer, it has been prepared. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Continue, please.
So need of policies and regulations to support renewables. We are talking about renewables from decades, like 20 years, 30 years, that renewables are important and it should come, we should move green, but there is a need to support this. There are many factors which we have overcome in the years. Like suppose the renewables were considered to be very costlier. However, the comparing cost it was not an apple to apple comparison, because of the explicit or hidden subsidies for competing fuels are often ignored. Because if you talks about conventional, then you don't speak about the subsidies they are getting, the subsidy fuel they are using. We only talks about the end tariff, landed cost, which comprises of. So while considering other renewables, we talks about that it is very costly. So if you compare the apple to apple, then all factors should be considered. But then again, the cost has come when in 2010 the cost was up to 15 to 17 rupees. First tariff was introduced of solar was 17 rupees 91 paisa in 2010, and now it has come to less than 3 rupees. So you can see that what has been done in the last 10 years. So this was the reason the renewables was supported in the few years, and you can see the difference in 10 years. Then coming to, yes, definitely high upfront cost, long payback periods, and prolonged exposure to risk for renewables. There is always risk in renewables, definitely because of the intermittent nature of the renewables. There is a risk involved, and then the high upfront cost and the payback period of 25 years, and so definitely it seems on the other side. But with the policies of government and the subsidies and incentive given to renewables is to cover up these factors only. Then when we have done, then when coming to the discom is the plays major role in any field, whether it is conventional or renewable. They are the people who will get the power and make it reach to the consumers. So they play important role every time, and hence they run in losses always. They have recovered very well from the transmission and AT&C losses. They have recovered very well, but again they are logged in long-term PPAs for thermal power, and they have tied up with the power, and they cannot enter into, because the demand is not going to increase. They have already set up with the thermal. There is a variable cost and a fixed cost. They used to pay the fixed cost for this PPAs, so they are also tied up. So this has to be little flexible in the coming PPAs, and there is a need that discom should take part in the renewable PPAs and honoring the PPAs which has been done. Then I already spoken about intermittent nature of renewables leading to additional cost of balancing. Then again, low capacity utilization factor, less than optimum power transmission and other infrastructure. These factors you must be aware of, and just going through, because I know I have a little less time. So investors rarely include environmental cost in the bottom line and used to make decisions. That is like in जो इन्वेस्टर्स होते हैं कभी सोचते ही नहीं कि what we think about it. They're definitely CSR. There are companies who are thinking of, there are good companies who are entering into the business, but mostly when the investor thinks of the profits only. So such, and the international initiatives calling for expansion of renewables, like I already told, their sustainable development goals, their national determined contributions, which lend a multilateral dimensions. The other countries are coming to us, talking to us, and to how to work upon this. So this is the policy framework. I must tell, this is the picture that how and where the renewable is involved in all documents present. If you want to see where renewables we talk about, it is here. So under section under Electricity Act 2003, we have section 3, where the central government developed national policy for optimal utilization of resources, including REC. This is under section 3. Then we comes to SERC, where the SERC is involved. Under section 61, determine tariffs for promotion of RE, and section 66, we fix a minimum percentage energy purchase from RE resources, which is we call as now renewable purchase obligation. So this is covered under 2003 Act. Then if you come to, then after that there was a National Electricity Policy 2005, where under section 5.2.20 we say talks about promotion of private participation in RE. Then also talks about target capital cost reduction RC through competition. Then SERC to specify target and RE. These were introduced in the National Electricity Policy. And now coming on the right side, National Tariff Policy 2006, SERC has to specify RPOs, and they have done in 2010. Preferential tariff by SERCs to enable RE to compete. So preferential tariffs were given by SERCs. It was introduced under the National Tariff Policy. And procurement of RE by DISCOM through competitive bidding. So this is again the part of Electricity Act, which was introduced in 2006. The how to do the competitive bidding. Then we have the REC renewable energy certificates in 2010, which were introduced, which was aimed at pan India market, which is for the optimal use of RE potential. There are many projects registered under REC is a big subject. I'm not going to cover here because it will take a lot of time. Coming to then the amendment came in 2016, where we talks about the renewable. We also talks about renewable generation obligation. Then we also talk about the ISTS charges waiver, which has already been done. And at that time in 2016, the solar RPO was set to be 8% by 2022, which is now 11%, which has been revised to 11%. And then we have Indian Electricity Grid Code 2010, which gives us the must-run status to renewables, and it also emphasized on improved grid discipline and accountability by mandating wind and solar forecasting and schedule. So forecasting and scheduling is another important concept, and uh, which cannot be covered in this time. So this is impetus to renewables, like how we were. If you talks about 93, 94, we have given the 100% accelerated depreciation was introduced. Then we come up, MNRE come up with the policy and tariff guidelines. Then enactment of Electricity Act in 2003. In between that, power sector was restructuring and the reforms were taking place. Then we have NEP 2005, then National Tariff Policy 2006. Then we have one policy, integrated energy policy, was also introduced in 2008. Then we have a National Action Plan for Climate Change in 2009, which brings our the National Solar Mission. Then in 2016, we have raised the obligations for introduction of renewables in 2016, and we have revised it in 2018. So this is how we have come up throughout the years. And this is the installed capacity of renewables. You can see this because of these points where we have interventions and bringing the policy, how the renewable has increased. And you can see the share of it is in 1920 we have reached around 85,000. This is because of the policies and decisions being taken in the field of renewable energy sector. Now coming to the RPO, which is the important part of it, that all relates to RPO. So in 2016, Ministry of Power has notified uniform RPO to all states from the year 2016 and 17 to 18-19, which was revised in 2018, and now RPO trajectory set up to 21% by 21-22, and the share you can see on the slide that how the share has been increasing and reaching up to 21-22. The achievement in 2018 was 10%, again 17%, because states are keeping up, because this is the target by Ministry of Power. Now state runs by SERCs, so they are guided by SERCs. They cannot be guided by central government. So there is an issue always between center and state. The state targets are less than the targets of the uniform target of the central government. So many states you find the targets given by states in RPO are less than that of center. So this is a war which is going between the state and center, is that we have higher targets and SERCs takes the target while looking after the factors which are related to the resources available in the state, the finances available in the state, the nature of the DISCOM. So they have come up with a lower trajectory. But we again request all the states every time to match with the center's target and go as like this to achieve our goal by 2030. So this is for 2018-19. If you can see, we have an overall share of renewables is around 9.65%. This is in terms of energy, not in capacity. So it was around 120 billion units were generated in the year 2018-19, which was the total generation was around 1300 billion units. It has increased by 18 billion units in the next year, and we have share of 10.78% in the year. So this has been increasing. This we have given for the state-wise factor. So this presentation will be available. If you want to see any particular state's performance, you can see it later. And this is the growth of the renewable share. If you see in the when this new government came and the new policies came, and you can see that this has been increasing, showing an increasing pattern. And we are working on this. If we go by this pace, we definitely going to achieve target of 450 by 2030. Then coming little bit to the competitive bidding guidelines, which is important. Which I thought to include a particular slide into this. That R61 and 62 of the Act talks about tariff regulation, determination of tariff by appropriate commission. Then 63, adoption of tariff through transparent bidding as per the guidelines issued by central government. Now, new to this, when we were in the committee discussing the new amendment bill, we thought of why to keep this 63 in the in why to keep 62 determination of tariff when we have already adoption of tariff through transparent bidding. So this has changed to the priority has been given to this transparent bidding, then the determination of tariff, and determination of tariff was kept only the option where the bidding process is not possible. So in this the new bill, the focus is more on 63, which is changed now, which would be changed as 62, I think. Solar power is predominantly procured through competitive bidding 10 and 11, definitely. And SERC has been notifying feed-in tariff to all RE technologies. Basically, it comes for biomass and other factors. Solar and wind coming through competitive bidding, but somewhere biomass is still through determining through traffic through tariff. Then we have standard guidelines for tariff-based competitive bidding procurement of power. You can see our website also, and then states SECI and CPSUs have been procuring solar and wind power through competitive bidding route only. This is all I have covered. Then we have challenges also. We have challenges in RPO, meeting the RPO compliance. This is the some points I have covered, like the how many states have notified the trajectory with MOP trajectory. Then total 10% share was achieved only. Only 2 states have covered the reached this RPO compliance, and RPI SERCs are not penalizing states for only few states, which I can see the example of Delhi, Bihar, and one more state was there. I don't remember now, but they have given some penalty. Maharashtra has done it, I think. They have penalized the discoms and for not complying with the RPO. Then maintaining the sanctity of power purchase agreement. Several discoms have been now doing this renegotiating PPA unilaterally on various pretexts. So these are the issues which has to be come up. Then we have payment security issues where the letter of credits and penalties on delay to ensure payment security. So these are the challenges. Then curtailment is another issue. So even though being the must-run status, some states are doing the curtailing the renewables, which is making the profitable business into a loss business. And this issue has been in court cases, and Dr. Raj must be aware of. There are so many cases of curtailment and PPA and not honoring the PPA. These cases, these are the most popular cases in these times now. And we have been also the regulations, state regulations are being challenged in the court these days. So these are some of the popular issues these days in renewable, which are being challenged in the court. Then we have other grid integration and balancing issues. Then we have not much of forecasting and schedule regime. There's very few states which have come up with the forecasting and schedule regulation. There are penalties also. Then one of the question I see in the chat box, why open access is so less in the total consumption. The open access is the only around 3 to 4% of the total capacity which is going through, because of the open access is only for where you can one can meet the requirement by by taking from the other. Open access between 1-to-1 bilateral agreement. Now when all the sector is regulated and all tariff has been determined and come through bidding process, there are very few players who can have access of open access. So most of the infrastructures is being run through discoms. So discoms, after all, you are the consumer of discoms. Other than discom, after discom, if you are not connected to discom, then you becomes an open access. If you want power from other state, that's why even though the regulations are well in place, but due to the charges, from one state to another state, and the landed cost becomes challenge for this. So that's why the total quantity of open access is less, and wind would be 12% by 2030. This is very optimal and optimistic also. So we also think of that how to reach this figure by 2030. There are a lot of work to be done. And by this, I end my presentation.